Here's Alidar. He's moving too. And Alidar comes like a shot into third.
Fusaichi Pegasus will roll into Kentucky as the favorite in the Derby.
And here it is. The 37-year wait is over. American Pharoah is finally the one.
Maybe 1988 wasn't a Belmont Stakes that comes to everybody's minds at first thought, but it's a race that you and I both remember extremely well.
Well, the winner, Risen Star, was just so impressive, and I think you would agree with me, the best son of Secretariat by far and away. And I remember watching him blow out the day before the Belmont, like an old school move. He went 3/8 in 33 and change under an old rider named Jimmy Nichols, who could hold an elephant from a bag of peanuts, and he got away from him and probably galloped out a half a mile in about 45 and change the day before the Belmont. So he signaled his readiness.
An amazing racehorse. And as you watch these Belmont Stakes, you watch over time, the paces get slower and slower. This is a fast pace set by Winning Colors, who had beaten the boys in the Derby and ran all the Triple Crown races. Brian's time had been second in the Preakness behind Risen Star. But of all these horses that lost the Triple Crown, had 2 or 3 wins, I'm not sure the one who wasn't the most unlucky was Risen Star.
Yeah, Risen Star was so unlucky in the Derby, and I think he should have been a Triple Crown winner. Kind of reminiscent of Point Given years later. Just
even more so.
Even more so, because he showed up Derby Day. He just got unlucky where Point Given didn't show up that day. But his Preakness and his Belmont signaled that he was the best horse. And you could see here, Eddie Delahousie on Risen Star rides him out of the gate to get forward position. And, you know, when we talk about speed and speed horses, sometimes your horse just has more stamina. They get more air than the other horses. So why let them have an advantage? Make it a test of stamina.
And I think he didn't worry about Brian's time. He said, my biggest fear is that the filly gets loose in the lead. Now, she'll end up finishing last, take nothing away from her. Later that year, she almost beat Personal Ensign, not once, but twice. Once at Belmont Park and once at Churchill Downs. But Risen Star, I mean, he is running in a completely different race, Richie, than everybody else.
Yeah, no, this was just basically an exhibition. He put on a show for us. And, you know, we talk about Secretariat. Now, he doesn't have the same color as Secretariat, but think about horses' strides and what they pass on. He's got that Secretariat-looking stride, just reaching out, getting over the ground.
You felt like, you know, they say he could have run around again. This horse just could have kept running fast. Now, obviously, they couldn't have, but as you say, it's not like his stride is ever deteriorating. And if I'm not correct, this is one of the fastest Belmonts we've ever had.
Yeah, well, it wound up now, I think it's third fastest. Up to that point, I think it was the second fastest. And he just, but again, the way he did it, I mean, he's in front before they get to the second turn and widens.
And it's not like he's a horse that got some super fast pace in front of him that fell apart and he just sort of exploded at the end. He was chasing the very fast pace. He was in the bridle, as you like to say, basically the entire time.
Yeah, he was in the bridle. And you saw Eddie Delahousie kind of thinking, well, I'm making the lead too soon. He kind of took an extra hold of him, and then he said, you know what, just go ahead, go do it.
He comes into the stretch, and he's now a few lengths in front. You're going to see it, but it's just a powerhouse performance. And Brian's time was not some sort of bum. I mean, he held his own against 49er and Seeking the Gold, and we love those horses, and they were tremendous racehorses. But I got to tell you something. They may have been very fortunate. A lot of horses may have been fortunate that this horse got hurt and never ran again after the Belmont.
Yeah, a shame, because I really think he would have been the horse we would have all been talking about, as opposed to maybe the Ali Shebers and the 49ers of the world.
And you hate to take anything away from them, but you can't even imagine what he could have done. And he was a gigantic horse. I saw him later at Stud. I wonder, Richie, if he was just too big for his own good.
I think it's a very good point. He was a huge horse. He was well over 17 hands. And, you know, I think he could have warranted it moving like a tremendous machine around the turn.
I love this Belmont. I'm so glad, because you said it independently, and I had wanted to show it as well. It was a tremendous race, and there were a lot of memorable things about Risen Star, and he had very animated connections as well. And Louis Roussel, who part owner and the trainer as well, was somebody very popular among a lot of people, easily beat the long shot King Post, Brian's time a distant third. A lot of good stuff going on in this race, including the connections, Richie.
By 31 lengths, hand in hand, top of the heap, a number one. These lucky horseshoes will run away from the rest of the field at Belmont Park. And when Star wins it here, Star will be horse of the year. Risen Star salutes New York, New York.
Jim McKay looking on as Ronnie Lamarck, the part owner of Louis Roussel, singing that song. A very memorable Belmont Stakes.
A terrific voice. I love the lyrics he came up with, and it was actually priceless looking at Jim McKay's face. I would love to know what he was thinking.
I don't know if he knew what he should be thinking at that point. Ronnie Lamarck is actually still down in Louisiana, and he's a car dealer down there, and he's still promoting his own products, and, yep, he's still singing. Well, Richie, I guess at this point you won't be able to remember Risen Star without remembering Ryan Lamarck as well.
He's still in very good voice and quite a character. He seems like he enjoys life.
Racing brings out all the best, horses and characters as well.